A new set of polls finds the presidential race essentially tied across the Sun Belt swing states. Fox News has Vice President Harris up by 2 points in Georgia and Nevada, and by 1 point in Arizona. Their polling shows former President Trump is up 1 point in North Carolina, though. Now all 4 states are still toss-ups, with each matchup within the margin of error. According to the Cook Political Report, even safe blue-leaning states like Washington, Minnesota, Virginia, and New Hampshire may be turning even bluer, moving from lean Democrat to likely Democrat. Joining us now, publisher and editor-in-chief of the Cook Political Report, Amy Walter. Sure, I'm sure the Democrats are happy to hear about that, but they want to know more about North Carolina. They want to know more about Nevada. They want to know more about Arizona. What's it look like?
All right. Well, you're exactly right. I mean, what we've seen over the course of the last 4 or 5 weeks, however long it's been, time is a flat circle right now, Katie. when Biden dropped out and Harris became the de facto nominee, you've seen movement all in one direction, and that is in Harris's favor. So if you look across all of the battleground states, including those, not just the Sun Belt, but those upper Midwest, the so-called Rust Belt states, on average, Harris has improved over Biden by about 6 points. Trump's number has basically stayed the same. So where that gets us is a dead heat in pretty much every one of those 7 really competitive swing states. And it feels a lot like where 2020 ended, which was very, very close races decided really on the margins, in some cases between 10 and 20,000 votes.
Do you have a sense of what's going to move things? Is there an issue that'll change voters' minds?
It's really important to appreciate where we are. And I think the easiest way to understand it is to think about the Harris campaign and the Trump campaign, or actually think about their candidacies as like being a team, being a football team. And for weeks, for months, I think it's probably fair to say, the Trump campaign had every one of its members on the field, that the Biden campaign did not. Now, Harris has a full team on the field, so does Trump. Their bases are both equally engaged, their voting bases, so that's where we start this race. And the fight for the next 60 plus days is over the handful, really 4 to 5% of voters who right now fall into either undecided or third party. Maybe they say they're not really sure they're even going to vote this time around. And those voters look different in different states. But I think overall, at least what we found in our polling in the swing battleground states, is that those undecided voters tend to be voters who, this won't surprise you, cross-pressured between concerns about the economy and specifically worries about inflation. They were much more pessimistic in our polling in early August about inflation than the overall electorate. But they are also very concerned about Donald Trump's behavior. And those two things are the push-pull for a good chunk of those voters. So that's, I think, the important thing that we're watching, not just for the next 60 days, but how they're going to react to some immediate events, whether it is the interview that Harris and Walz are giving today to CNN, or the debate that's coming up next week.
I was going to say that it sounds like the debates might actually matter this go around.
Absolutely.
Let me ask you about some down ballot races. We have Arizona Senate, Ruben Gallego, the Democrat, is up 56 to 41% over Kari Lake. Nevada Senate, Jackie Rosen is up 55% to 41% above Sam Brown. North Carolina Governor, this one's an interesting one, Josh Stein, 54% to Mark Robinson, 43%. Are these down ballot races potentially going to have an up ballot effect on the presidential race?
Yeah, I'm not a big believer in this idea of like reverse coattails, but I do think what it's showing is a couple of things. The first is that Republican candidates are not getting an automatic boost with Trump's success. So voters aren't necessarily equating a Republican candidate with wanting to vote for Donald Trump. It also reflects, I think, on just how much those Republican candidates, especially in those states you mentioned, have been outspent by the Democratic candidates in those states. And that's what voters are seeing and watching right now. They know who Donald Trump is. They don't know, they knew who Joe Biden was. They were very clear in their perception of him. They're still trying to figure out Harris. For those down ballot races, they have a better sense of Democrat because they've been on TV, and in some cases they're sitting incumbents. They don't know much about the Republican candidate at all. And if I'm the Republican campaign committee, my concern right now is that there are only 60 some days left to get that message out to voters. And they can start spending there, but the groundwork has already been laid by Democrats.
As I understand it, the Republican campaign committee is also pouring a lot of money into Texas at the moment. I'd love to get your thoughts on Texas, but I'm completely out of time. I'm getting yelled at. So you're going to have to come back to talk to me about Texas. Amy Walter, thank you so much.